All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the national championship game from last night between Ohio State and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame made things a little bit interesting late, but ultimately Ohio State, kind of dominated this game in the first half, and they built up a big lead. And it was kind of too much for Notre Dame to overcome. And they end up winning the national championship game. And the biggest thing from last night is, people in the media talking about how they were kind of counted out. They were counted out because of what happened the final week of the regular season against Michigan. Everything that unfolded there. And I know I've brought this up numerous times, but just that loss, that low-scoring, ugly game, 13-10, and then Michigan plants the flag, and you had these fights breaking out. It just was not a good look. So going into these playoffs, a lot of people were down on Ohio State, but they come out, they play really well against Tennessee, they beat Oregon, and at that point, I felt like, because I had Oregon winning the whole thing, I said it looks like Ohio State is going to be the team to beat, and they beat Texas. They play a close game with Texas. You had the signature play with Jack Sawyer running back the touchdown, to put them up by, multiple scores at that point. When Texas is driving, the defense makes a stand, and then, like I said, Sawyer returns the touchdown when they go for it. And then in this game, it's kind of similar to what we saw from the first two playoff games where, they dominated in the first half. Notre Dame, they stepped up and they tried to keep it close, and the offense did its best. They actually, the first drive of the game, similar to what the Texans did in the second half of the divisional game against the Chiefs, the game we just talked about, they put together an impressive drive, Notre Dame, because they took the ball to start and they went right down the field, 18 plays, 75 yards, almost 10 minutes of time of possession. Down the field. They score a touchdown. They went for it on fourth down. Riley Leonard picks up the first down on a 3-yard run, and then later in the drive, he scores. Actually, they went for it on fourth down again. Riley Leonard picked up another first down to set him up, and then he scored the 1-yard touchdown. Actually, looked like he was hurt after, but of course he still, played and finished out the game. But that put them up 7-0. That was a statement right there. And the key for Notre Dame going into the game was keeping it close, not letting Ohio State pull away. And Ohio State, on their first three drives, actually, all were touchdowns. They went 11 plays, 75 yards on their first drive. Will Howard connected with Jeremiah Smith for a touchdown. That made it 7-7. Notre Dame punted. They went 3-and-out pretty quickly. Ohio State, another drive. Quinshon Judkins, a 9-yard touchdown, make it 14-7. And then 21-7, Will Howard connected with Judkins for a 6-yard touchdown. And, they went 12 plays, 80 yards on that, 4.5 minutes almost. I was hoping that Notre Dame would maybe, hold them to 3. At least hold them to 3. But they scored another touchdown there. So, yeah, their offense was rolling in the first half. And then they scored a touchdown to open up the second half. So it was 28-7 at that point. It was as much as 31-7. So Ohio State did not punt until the fourth quarter. Notre Dame made it 31-15 at one point. They went for the 2. They got it. Riley Leonard connected with Greathouse, who had a big game, 6 receptions for 28 yards. Last couple weeks, he stepped up. He had over 100 yards receiving against Penn State, had 128 yards against Ohio State here. He had 2 touchdowns in the game. He stepped up. But yeah, so that made it 31-13. Like I said, they went for 2. They got it. So it was 31-15. So, okay, here we go. And then Ohio State ends up fumbling on their next drive. So Notre Dame goes down the field, and Mitch Jeter, who was the hero against Penn State, he ends up missing the field goal. They actually go for the field goal to try to get some points to make it, 31-18. And Mitch Jeter ends up missing. It hits off the upright. a 27-yarder. He ends up missing it. And Ohio State did end up punting, but they score a touchdown on the next drive, Notre Dame. They made it 31-23. They got the 2-point conversion again. Riley Leonard connected with Greathouse for 30 yards. This was on 3rd and 9. So, yeah, that made it 31-23. But then Will Howard had the throw of the game. It was 3rd and 11. They bring an all-out blitz, and he hits Jeremiah Smith one-on-one coverage, 56 yards. That sets up a field goal. That made it 31-23, and that's all she wrote. Ohio State gets the win. They win the national championship in this new format. Will Howard went 17-21 for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ohio State ran the ball for over 200 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns by Quinshon Junkins. Will Howard had 57 yards on the ground. Travion Henderson had 49 yards on the ground. Jeremiah Smith, the big 56-yard reception. He had 5 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. Emeka Ibuka, he had 6 receptions for 64 yards. Junkins had the receiving touchdown in the game. Ohio State's defense, only 2 sacks of Riley Leonard in the game. And, he was solid last night. 22-31, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He actually was their leading rusher. So, yeah, they really couldn't run the ball last night. Riley Leonard had 40 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And shout out to Jaden Greathouse, 6 receptions for 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. He came up big for them these last couple weeks. Just wasn't enough. Notre Dame's defense had 2 sacks. But this was huge for Ohio State. And it's kind of cool that I was able to see them in action this year in person. When they played Nebraska. Now, that was not their best game, but it's just cool to, kind of be a part of a little small part, very small part, microscopic part of their season, because it was a roller coaster. And they got it done. And, there were a lot of veterans on this team. This, takes a lot of pressure off of Ryan Day, their head coach. They got it done. For Notre Dame, props to them. They may have not had the star power that Ohio State has, but, they showed some fight in that second half, and they got it to a one-possession game. It's just, I think people question, the all-out blitz and leaving, one of the better receivers and Jeremiah Smith in one-on-one coverage, but that's what they did. Will Howard made a great throw, and they ended up coming up short. And you got to give Marcus Freeman a lot of credit. He's really turned this team around. These two teams, we talked about this. Ohio State had the bad loss to Michigan at the end of the year, and then you had Notre Dame. They lost to Northern Illinois by 2 points earlier in the season, but they were able to overcome all that. They both played in the national championship game. Ohio State gets the win. But Ohio State, many people said they're the better team. They were the better team, and they showed that last night. They built up a big lead. Notre Dame, they came up a little bit short. Had Ohio State not have built up this huge lead, who knows what would have happened. Maybe, Notre Dame was able to tie it. But they could have easily rolled over and just gave up. But no, they kept fighting. It's just, it was too much. It was too much of a deficit. But, props to Ohio State for getting the win, winning the national championship. For Notre Dame, listen, they're building something good over there with Marcus Freeman as the head coach. I actually wanted to look up the odds for next year for the national championship. Who are the favorites right now? And I'm doing this on the fly here, so just bear with me. So this is what we got right now. These are playoff championship odds. So these are the latest odds to win the 2026 national championship. And this is FanDuel. So we got Texas at plus 650, Georgia at plus 700, Alabama at plus 1600, Tennessee plus 1800, LSU at plus 2000, Ole Miss plus 23, 2,300. Texas A&M plus 3,100. Plus 4,000 for South Carolina, plus 5,000 for Florida, plus 5,000 for Auburn, plus 6,500 for Oklahoma. And Ohio State's not even there. So that just because Ohio State's going to lose some pieces, but then also you look at DraftKings. Ohio State is plus 450, Texas plus 500, Georgia's plus 550, Oregon's plus 750, Penn State's plus 900. So it's going to be different depending on what sportsbook you use. But yeah, I mean we'll see how it goes. But the college football season is over. We only got 3 games left in the NFL season, and football will be over as a whole, and then it's officially the off season. So, but let me know what you guys think about this game. So Ohio State wins 34-23. They are national champions. But let me know about what your thoughts are from this game in the comments. So that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows as well. We'll be back again tomorrow. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Also, I apologize for the camera issues. Hopefully it's better tomorrow, but hey, they always happen. So until next time, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.